Friday Night Live. I am your host, DJ Glowing Ice, and there is currently nobody watching this right now. But soon enough, people will follow, and until then, I'll just keep talking to myself here like I always have been. Uh, I guess first things first, no talkie before coffee. So, got some coffee here. I got my mug for the YouTube channel, got the logo on there. Um, I guess I could play salesman for a second. It doesn't really matter, but if you want to and you desire this mug, there is a store tab on the YouTube channel. If you want to find it, you want to represent, you could do that here. And yeah, buy the mug. I think it's $9. I lowered everything on the store to the point to where like I make pennies worth of profit. Just to make the stuff available for people just to buy it without like really because who wants to buy a t-shirt for 25 bucks? Like any brand you see or like a band t-shirt, it's always 25 bucks, you know? Um uh, that's too much, man. It's too much. But yeah, I think whatever. But yeah, no talkie before coffee. So I'm going to make some coffee real quick and you just stay tight. I guess I will make coffee first. I will still have to talk. So, anybody watching right now, if you want to ask me anything, ask a question while I do this, yeah, I will answer. So, let me just continue here. You go about your business. Ah, smells so good. Coffee. I didn't get a. I'll be right back. Hold that thought. Okay, let's do an experiment here. I'm gonna take this with me. I'll be right back. All right, somebody's watching. Hey, what's up? I'm making coffee right now. I need to get a coffee filter, so I'm just gonna take this microphone with me. Had to go downstairs here. Like I say, no talkie before coffee, and I have been just tired today, man. I swear, I'm dropping everything out of this cabinet. It's weird. Someone's talking to you and no one's there. All right, I'm coming back. 1 second, babe. Hang on, baby. uh, okay, and I'm back. Had to get some coffee filters. I just knew I was going to forget something. But this is almost like a simulation, as if you were hanging out with me on a Friday night. This is the kind of craziness that would happen. And I say craziness in a very low, mild kind of way. But let's see here. So I got, this kind of thing here. I usually do about 2 scoops, and that does me per full, 12 cups coffee there. So let's do that. Ugh, that was a nasty burp. That was a gurgler. Uh, uh, it's not many people in the this live thing that I'm doing, but it's a very nice night out, so I don't blame them. But I just have nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. So that's why I do this. If you have nothing else to do, come on and join the party. And I do have a very big stacked show for you tonight. And first off, we're going to talk about uh, a movie I recently seen. We were going to talk about the happenings with this YouTube channel and the podcast. There's going to be a few changes with the YouTube channel here and everything, but it's nothing going to be it's not going to be drastic or anything like that. It's just going to be a little bit of a change, but yeah. Let's see here. Let's get this coffee going, huh? Let's do that. All right, so coffee's brewing. Now I could finally get into this thing. I'm tired, but I am ready to drink my coffee. Got, what is this? Frosted sugar cookie creamer. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. I think I've had this before, but I always like to try these. I think the only creamer I don't like, I think I already talked about this, but it's chocolate coffee creamer. Just like, nah, I need something sweet, just a slight bit. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna talk about a recent road trip I was on, and if you guys have any tips yourself, you could chime in and talk about, oh, I was on this road trip and this is what I drank, or this is what I ate, or this is what I did. But I don't want to hear someone say, well, a good night's rest is what I like to do. We're not here for that. We're here for high octane, caffeinated action. I hope that coffee isn't making too much noise, but yeah. So how are you doing? How is everything on your end? I've been dealing with a slight sinus infection. It's been cold, then it's gotten hot, and so now everything just, I feel stuffy, I feel fatigued, I feel very tired. You would think it would be like the flu, but no, it's just like a sinus thing. It's crazy how much it messes you up. But let me check here 1 second. Okay. All right. But yeah, so I just been dealing with that, but I'll make it through. I took a nap prior to doing this, so if I look a little tired, that's the whole thing with that. As you can see, Skybar. I'm going to be talking about Skybar for a little bit. I got a box of Skybar. It's not like I'm a Skybar salesman or anything, but uh, it's a very interesting candy bar. So it's a candy bar, 4 segments, and each segment is filled with a different thing. So you got caramel, you got vanilla, you've got peanut butter, you've got fudge, and they're made fresh on site at this one lady's like little business. And on my road trip, I swung up there and visited her and looked at all the operations of how she makes them, and they're like super fresh. This is like a fresh batch straight from the little factory thingamajig she has. I bought a shirt. I did a podcast on the history of Skybar last year, like 2021. So it was just audio, and that's, if you don't know, there's a podcast side to this YouTube channel. You can go on any podcast app and search Industrial Industries World Radio. You'll find a bunch. I think the next episode I'll do will be the 69th episode, but there's a whole lot of, there's like 100 and something episodes out there. So if you can only listen to the audio and you can't watch anything, that's a nice little thing. It's slightly different. It's a little bit more crazier on the audio side of things, but it's still fun. But anyways, I did the history of Skybar just for the podcast beginning of 2021, and I had contacted her previously, and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing the history of the candy bar that you now own and you make. Do you have anything that you could send me that, So she sent me a few things that I didn't know about, which was cool. But there was a lot of stuff I was surprised I was able to dig up online and find. Like, you had to go through a deep rabbit hole to find like little itty bitty things that nobody else has listed on Wikipedia or anything. But yeah, so I made that podcast, went up there, visited the Sky Bar shop, and she owns Duck Soup. It's the same building or whatever. But what's up, Craig? Yes, exactly. Great time, great time. But yes, I went up to the Sky Bar, talked to her, and I asked her. I said, "Hey, could I get a box of these?" She didn't notice me at the time, and she was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And she gives me the box, and I'm like, "Okay." So I put it up to the counter, and she's just standing there, and I say, Louise, that was her name. She owns Sky Bar, and I'm standing there, and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, you're Louise, right?" And she looked at me kind of like, "Oh, who's this guy? Crazy guy. I don't know who he's asking about me." And I said, "Oh, I'm DJ. I and made the podcast." And she's like, "Oh, DJ. Oh my God." And she went to the cashier and she slapped her hand on this box and said, "These are free. Give it to them for free." And I was like, and she was like, "Do you want anything else? Like the coffee? They have a blend of Sky Bar coffee that they make too. It's like coffee beans, 4 different flavors, much like the Sky Bar, and it smells good. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm gonna do an actual review on that. I don't know at some point, but yeah. So she was really nice. Um, that made me think differently about the East Coast to a certain extent. Because as a Midwestern boy, uh, people are more, I don't want to say nicer, but they're more lenient. I just want to say that. But you get to the East Coast, uh, oof, it's a little rough. They're more short with you. But yeah, Louise was just really cool. So, shot some video there because I plan on making, well, the next documentary I'm going to do is going to be on Skybar. And I'm just going to take the audio from the original podcast episode and lay over visuals, which that's kind of like how I make a lot of my documentaries. It's usually from old podcast episodes and no one listened to, no one cared about, but you put some visuals to it, put it in a YouTube video, you know, boom, it's night and day. Like podcast, like no one cares about. But it's kind of always been that way, where this whole thing has been podcast and YouTube. Like the first iteration of the podcast I started in 2018, and I would just take the audio, put like just a single like picture, throw it up on YouTube, and I get like 5 views on it. And there'd be a few people. Kind of Yellow, one of my music buddies, he'd always be like, "Hey, yeah, man, right on. I love this. I love listening to this while I play Call of Duty." You know, so that would made me get the idea in 2018 to start this whole thing in 2019, and like, okay, let's make a podcast and actually try to do this. How do I host a podcast? So it was a big thing to uh, learn on my own. But anyways, yeah. So that's what's up with me. Seasonal allergy stuff, movies. Uh, I think the only recent movie I've watched is Smile. That was the last movie I saw in theaters, which was recent. I don't know if any of you seen the movie Smile. If you have, let me know what you think. But I ain't gonna give you any spoilers, but the whole synopsis of the movie is, when it's a horror movie, all right? So there's this doctor lady, she's a therapist or psychiatrist, and she's like working with the crazies. And there's this like demon thing, I guess, that takes over people's bodies whenever the person sees someone else off themselves. And so when someone sees that, the demon gets onto them for them to create some more trauma and traumatize someone else by killing themselves in front of some. It's kind of screwed up and crazy. I'm not a big fan of horror movies, but yeah. Grandma Gertrude, sup, dude? I've been watching your vids for a while now. Good stuff. Thank you, thank you. I have fun with it, that's for sure. Yeah. Sometimes it's like I get on a schedule, gotta put out a video every single day, but sometimes it's like, stop, you're going crazy, man. Calm down. But yeah, thanks. I'm glad you appreciate them. It's a mixed bag of a lot of things, so variety is the spice of life, and that's what I try to bring. But Smile, um, that's the synopsis. And at the end of the day, I left the theater giving it a 6 out of 10. It's not bad. There's a few jump scares. It's a little gory here and there, but I don't know. I'm more of a comedy movie kind of guy. Like I could never really get into horror movies too much because like I'll watch it and it's like okay, I know what they're gonna try to do next. They're going to flash this image, big sound effects in the background or whatever, thriller. Like I don't know. It's more of like a physical kind of psychological thing, but with comedies, I feel like I wanted to, there's I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just feel like there's more to comedies than horror movies. Like I feel like horror movies, there's a long space of nothing. Then there's some action. Then some cheesy dialogue. Somewhat. That's how I feel. But Smile was good. The effects. I really did like the soundtrack to Smile more than anything else. That was the thing I think I gave it. The reason why I gave it a 6. If it wasn't for the soundtrack, I would have probably given it a 3. Plus, it had a horrible ending. I wasn't a fan, but I realize it is a horror movie. I mean, what did you expect? A happy ending? Probably not. Here I am talking with my hands again. Hey, everything. I've been criticized for that in the past. Moving my hands too much. Tie your arm to the side of your body. Now talk. Hello, I'm wrapped up. Okay, so I saw the movie Smile, and I guess we're moving on now to IIWR news and what is happening. So, Tabagak, what's up? Uh, so the news for this whole podcast, the YouTube channel, and all that is the fact that I did a little poll about a month ago, and I asked people what is their favorite type of video on this YouTube channel, and I'm not gonna let that control, what I'm going to do. I'm always just gonna do what I want to do, but I like to gauge what people like more than other videos just to see, and maybe I should do more of that, because I enjoy every single type of video I do for this channel. So don't get me wrong, it's not like, oh, I hate doing those videos. Can you pick something else? No, it's not like that at all. But most people chose documentaries. And I think the the amount of videos that's going to be churned out on this channel is going to slow down a little bit. Like I'll still do the funny videos, I'll still do the cheat day reviews, but I need to pull it back because the workload of making a documentary is a lot. It's monumental almost. And a lot of the documentaries aren't just going to be like the history of your basic thing, the history of KFC, which I will be doing, but the history of any top company you could think of, the history of Sony, the history of whatever. I'm going to be doing some documentaries of things that are more off the beaten path. And you'll see that tomorrow, actually. I made a documentary about a certain meme that was big in 2015, 2016. And that'll be dropping tomorrow early morning. So it's gonna be it's a shorter documentary, but it took a bit of work to do, and it's definitely it's a more lighthearted, funny kind of documentary, but it is serious. It's not just like, okay, is this real or not? When it comes to making documentaries, I always keep it, neutral, just straight information, and I pepper in my humor every once in a while with some of the visuals, and that's about it. That's the only time I inject any of my own personal, you know, thoughts or ideas, really. Most of it's just my writing and research. But that'll be dropping tomorrow, and so the workload needs to be shifted towards documentaries, and I got so many ideas I need to do, which I will be doing, and yeah, so that's the news for that. Besides that, I'm making music. I'm working on an album, the next kind of yellow album. It's all most of it's recorded. Just needs to do. I need to do some extra production on it and mixing and all that kind of stuff, and then I'll be done with that. So I got a lot of music that's backed up. I need to put out as well. So that's the news with IIWR. Now let's move on to the next thing. I need to figure out how to make some better production with this thing, doing some segments or whatever. The coffee is done, so it's time. Grandma Gertrude, yes. Before I was even a podcast, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I've always been making music. Um, that's how this podcast even started. Was I got tired of informing people on Facebook, making a post saying, "Hey, here's an update of the album, what I'm working on." So I decided, wouldn't it be fun if I made a podcast, maybe a 10-minute long podcast weekly about the status of the album and where I went and the stories of recording a song or whatever. And I did that in 2018, and then I started putting in more um, segments, fun segments that weren't music involved or had nothing to do with music. And then it just kind of snowballed into this. So if it wasn't for me making music, this whole podcast and YouTube channel wouldn't exist. So, but nobody really knows that. So, like all the audio, all the background music, everything with this, um, with the videos and everything, I produce myself because and also is almost a necessity because I didn't want to use anybody else's music because then it get copyright striked or whatever, and I don't want to do that. So, all right, time for coffee. Finally, I think I put in too much creamer. So that's what you do. That's a little trick whenever you're pouring coffee. Put the creamer in first, and then pour the coffee in, so you don't have to stir it. I think I talk about coffee too much. I think I message. I think I talked about that before. Mm. Oh yeah, I set that there. Is that in the shot a little bit? There you go. I just don't want that to spill on me. That'd be a fun time. Um, I don't know if you could hear that, but there have been fireworks going off because Friday Night Live, it's Friday Night Lights here in small town USA, and down the road is the high school football. And boy, do they go out for their high school football games. I mean, they're lighting off fireworks. That's the most excitement that happens week to week here. It reminds me of, for a split second, freshman year of high school, I was thinking about joining the football team. And realization hit. Back in '85, we won state. Yeah! But the realization of me being crushed by every single person on the team or the opposing team, I realized, and I wanted to be in on the action. I didn't want to be a kicker, or I got a good arm for quarterback because I always played, football, with the neighbor kids, the classic American thing. But joining a team in the high school and doing that, like, I realized too there was another reason why. Not just because I'm a small statured guy, but it's just the fact that after school activities, spending money to buy helmets, equipment, all that. I was talking to a buddy about this too a couple months ago. It would have never happened. Like, asking for money to pay for equipment to do this, like, are you kidding me? No, like, maybe if it was the book club where, books, you just go into the library and get a book, that's free, but to go through the trouble, the trips, getting on the bus and going here or whatever, it's like, no, even in freshman year of high school, I had to go to work. I was trying to make money to buy a car. So, like, the idea of doing any extracurricular activities after high school, like, no, it wouldn't have worked. I'd have to, go to work. But I'm not saying, I was just working all day, blah, blah, blah. But, it's just like, okay, football team or driving a car by the time you're 16 or 17. It was a no-brainer. Car, all right? Because there was no way on my 16th birthday I was gonna wake up and see a brand new car in the driveway with a bow on it from my grandpa or whoever, you know. Like with my family, that wasn't gonna happen. So, and it's good that way. Like you know, you learn. You got to, you know, put in the work to get the reward. That's just how it is. But yeah, so Friday night lights going down. Everyone's having a hoot and holler down the street here in small town USA. Got myself a coffee. You guys are here. You know what? Life couldn't get any better. Oh, so I got some Pop Rocks here. This is Cotton Candy Explosion. And then I got these that I found. They are the wax little soda bottles, but they're sour. I had one of these. I was going to do these for a cheat day review, but I just said it's too much work for something that really isn't that eventful, but I'll have one here. Is the wax actually edible? Well, let's see. Mm. You ate a lot of them. Well, if you're still alive, I guess it's fine. Hang on a second. Ugh. I get a lot of the wax just stuck here and there on my teeth, but I'm sure it's edible. I do like to chew on them though. But yeah, that's I don't know. What would I rate these? Crybaby sour mini drinks. They definitely are sour, and yeah, I really can't tell what flavor it is. I mean, I'm sure this one's orange, lemon, orange, red raspberry, blue raspberry, or something like that. Cherry, I don't know. Strawberry. Um, but yeah. So there's that. I need my coffee, get myself wired up. I took a nap earlier, but I don't know if you were there for that. I was talking about that earlier. So if I am a little tired looking, that's what it is. I'm also a little tired looking because now we are going to get into my car trip, my road trip that I did recently. Uh, but yeah, it's I it was nuts. I was really shocked that I was able to pull off what I did. I drove 15 straight hours, um, you know, to and back, basically. Um, on the way back home, driving 15 hours straight. And mind you, I didn't get a restful sleep. Like, I didn't just wake up and then hit the road for 15 hours. Like, I was up the prior day. Okay, so it was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday I woke up at 6:30, okay? Drove about 600 hours miles, 600 miles, but that I don't count that. And then 8 p.m. got everything sorted out that I needed to head back home. All right. 8 p.m. I started driving. I had to go through a bunch of different turnpikes where they take your toll and all that. Now, I haven't been on the East Coast driving at least through these turnpikes in 10 years, 10 plus years. So everything has changed with the toll. Like I had the mindset going into it of driving up, there's the booth, there's a little person, you got to make sure you have the right cash. Here you go. I think it was $2 last time I paid the toll, but this time it was $3. So, and I didn't want to chance it. I don't know. I always have this weird thing thinking a lot of people don't take cards still. So I don't know if toll booths take card. So I always, when I have to drive through a turnpike now, I think I'm going to always have to keep cash on me handy just to make sure. I never keep cash on me. Um, my dad always says cash is king. And Yeah, I should go with his advice at times because, yeah, sometimes people only take cash. But, anyways, that's how it was 10 years ago. They take your money, and some turnpikes, they still do take your money. But now they had this new thing. It freaked me out. I'm driving up to the toll booth, and all the gates are up. And I see these signs that says, keep moving, keep moving. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I didn't need to pay a toll. That's illegal. Like, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna take a photo or what's gonna happen? And then oh, you owe a fine of $200 now because you drove through here when the sign said keep moving. So that's just my idea of like, oh, something's not right here. But I drive through it, and there's a little flash, and I'm like, oh, okay, they took a photo of me. Okay, I was a little suspicious, so got to the next rest stop, and I started Googling, like, okay, why aren't people at toll booths in Pennsylvania? And what came up is they have this system now where it's toll by plate, or you pay later on. Like, they take a photo of your license plate. Doesn't matter which state you're in, and they will run it through and find your address, find all that stuff, and then 40 days later you're going to get this bill in the mail to pay the $2 to $3 or whatever it is. So I figured all that. I'm like, oh, okay. And I guess they do that now to like keep traffic flowing and keep things safer for people, so they don't have to stop and then dig through their wallet to pay. It's just you drive through, and they take a photo of your little license plate and move on. Hang on one second. I hate that. I had popcorn earlier, and the kernels get stuck up in between the top of your teeth and your gum. You hate that? I'm always having to pick them out. It's like, I love popcorn, so it's like, it's the toll I have to pay to eat popcorn. But um, so that was different on my road trip. But I'm driving 15 hours, like I said, driving through Pennsylvania, straight through. Like, I always just imagined Pennsylvania to be flat for some reason. I don't know why, but it's definitely not that. It's hilly. There's woods, lots of space where nothing really is. So you really kind of had to strategize, look at your gas gauge and be like, all right, do I need to get gas now, or can I make it another 30, 40 miles till, the next stop where they actually have gas? And then after that, I think I finally got out of Pennsylvania by sunrise, or the sun was rising. And I was thinking, God, maybe I need to stop. Maybe I need to find a hotel or something. So I get to this rest stop, and I just park, and I got a little throw blanket I threw on me, and I was like, maybe I'll just get some sleep here. Because it's illegal, I think in some states you could pull into a rest stop and just sleep. You don't have to get a hotel if you don't want to. And I was like, I ain't gonna spend money on a hotel and then go through the whole motions, get in the room, and then I can't sleep because I'm just wired because I had a cappuccino earlier, all that kind of stuff. So, I was just like, all right, rest stop, lay down, get the throw blanket on me. I'm laying there for a second. My mind is going a million miles an hour. Some cars are coming up, flashing their lights on me. I can't do this. So at the rest stop, there was a 7-Eleven. Pulled up, got in the 7-Eleven, got myself a large coffee. I realized this: do not get the Starbucks like double shot cans, because I chugged 2 of those and it felt like it didn't do anything. And I think just regular old coffee will keep you wired more than any of the Starbucks triple shots or whatever. Maybe it does. Maybe I was hyped up off of that and then regular coffee on top of it. But it felt like right after I drank those Starbucks things, it didn't do anything for me. So, yeah, I just kept going and driving. And uh, whenever you're driving that far and you're so sleep deprived, you got to listen to heavy metal music. I don't care who you are, if you only strictly listen to country or if you like rap, whatever. Like I'm more of an EDM, electronic kind of dance like music kind of guy. I like everything, but that's what I my go-to. It's that or like pop music. I'll listen to that too. So pop music, EDM stuff. I don't care. Oh, you listen to pop music so mainstream, dude. Yeah, I like listening to noise music, sound of TV static. That's when you know it's the real thing. but listening to EDM while you're sleep deprived and you're driving, just the it just feels like you're massaging yourself to sleep with that kind of music, and it's not good. So I had to just do my go-to, and I got three albums for you when you're on a road trip. These are the three albums that are bands, let's just say musical artists that you should listen to keep yourself awake. If you're feeling a little tired and you need to, you know, give yourself a little boost of morale. So the first album is Mr. Bungle's, um, what is that? Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo. It's new. It came out a couple years ago, and it's a remake of an original demo they recorded in 1986, which I it was shocking to me that they were going to dig all the way back and re-record that entire album, and they put in new songs as well. But listening to that, like re-recorded, pristine, everything's good. Like it sounds so much better. They have Scott Ian, I think is his name, the guitarist from Anthrax on it now, and they have the drummer from Sepultura, I think. I think so. But yeah, so they're all playing on it, and it just sounds tight. It's a classic, just heavy metal album, and the lyrics are funny. They're not like, "Oh, everything is dark," blah blah blah. Like it's just funny stuff, and that's what I like listening to more than anything else is funny music. It takes me back to when I was in high school, and I'd be around a bunch of other people that made music. Like they weren't my friends; it was art class, so you know how that goes. But all these other people, it's like they're an artist and they also make music, and so you listen to their music, and like it's a 15-year-old kid, it's a 16-year-old kid, and he's talking about how writing about life, and you would think the words he's writing, he'd be some 60-year-old guy that has all this wisdom. It's like, no, some 15-year-old kid that really hasn't done anything yet in his life, and he's writing all these, serious lyrics about this and that, and it's like I can't relate to that because I'm a 16-year-old kid. You know what I can relate to is hot chicks, and I don't know, lots of fart jokes. So those were the songs I wrote back when I was a kid, and I still do to this day. But so that's what Mr. Bungle reminds me of. It reminds me a lot of like high school heavy metal. That's something I would have made myself back then, and probably today, obviously. But yeah, so that album, I do say Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny by Mr. Bungle demo came out in 2020 or 2019. That's a good album to listen to. And then also just any hate breed album. Just pick any album. I pick Perseverance myself. I think that came out in 2002. That's a great album to listen to, get you pumped. Um, and then the last one is Slipknot. Now, it kind of makes me go ew anytime I think about like certain aspects. Nothing about the band Slipknot, but my personal experience, anybody that I knew from high school that was like a huge fan of Slipknot, like they almost idolized everybody in the band, and like lots of people in art class, they'd be drawing Jack Skellington all day long. They'd be drawing, Nightmare Before Christmas stuff or anything Tim Burton. It was just, everything, from that era was just the holy grail of what you need to be. But like, so these kind of dudes, that just they worshipped Slipknot. They I don't know. They just I could never really get along with them that well. Like they would just be to like too they would just be over serious about things sometimes. And like, do you listen to the Bloodhound Gang? This song's pretty. No. Why would you listen to that trash? So they would bash my music. I wouldn't. It's like, yeah, I like the first album. I like Iowa. But after that, the third album, I kind of there's some songs on there, but after that, I kind of fell off. But the first two Slipknot albums are solid. Now there's some songs on there, filler songs that are kind of quiet and just kind of slow, and I always skip through those. But the classics, Wait and Bleed, Spit It Out, My Plague from the second album, the Heretic Anthem, like all those songs are classic. They're great songs, and so that's what I listened to while I was driving. That kept me up. Um, I don't know if any of you guys listen to Slipknot. If you're what your favorite Slipknot song is, but I think it's a tie. My favorite Slipknot songs. It's a tie between My Plague and Wait and Bleed. I always have very fond memories of Wait and Bleed because before I bought the album, I would wait for it to play on the radio, and I'd have to get my cassette out and put it in and record, Wait and Bleed, and I'd only get, not the full song, obviously, because there'd always be the DJ talking before the vocals would come in, so you don't get the full song at the very start, but you get the meat of the song, and so I just listened to that until I wound up buying the album. Grandma Gertrude, you're a metalhead, right on. Um, besides you know that, yeah, I bought the first Slipknot album actually at Borders. If anybody remembers Borders, I think it was top notch, a lot better than Barnes and Noble in my opinion. Maybe just because that's where we went. We didn't get a Barnes and Noble in the area until later, but Borders was always the place I would go when I was like preteen, all the way up until they closed actually. Like you go in there, you smell the paper from the books and the coffee off to the left side, and you go in the back, and that's how like I found a lot of music that way. Like this was before the internet, kids. So when you you learn a lot about new music by going to Borders, and you go to the CD section, and they'd always have like little areas where you put on headphones and you could choose between five different albums, and that's what I do most of the time. Like we'd all go there as a family. My mom and dad would go and get magazines and sit in the cafe. I go in the music section and I just listen to anything and everything they were featuring. Like it didn't matter what it was, but that's how the Moby Play, the guy, music artist Moby. I didn't know anything about what his stance was on this and that, but as a kid in junior high, I'd put the music on, and it was just different because I was just used to classic rock, heavy metal. Um, like at that time, I was listening to Rob Zombie, White Zombie. Uh, I, when I was in sixth grade, Rob Zombie Hellbilly Deluxe came out, and that was like I guess that was my Slipknot, was Rob Zombie, because I was just like anything about Rob Zombie, I would eat it up, and so I listened to Hellbilly Deluxe so many times, like that hit my CD player, you know. When did that come out? 1998, from 1990 or from like sixth grade all the way up to about I don't know, late seventh grade. That was a long time for me at the time. It was nothing but Rob Zombie. Um, then the next album came out, and I didn't buy that one. So I think when that album came out, I was just like, yeah, whatever. I've been to Borders enough. I've been listening to a lot of other music, so I have to give it to Borders. I never really thought about that, but I do have to give it to Borders for expanding my music palette besides just listening to metal, because that's all it was, either heavy metal or old school rap. That's what I grew up on and I loved more than anything else. And having Borders there and listening to a bunch of other stuff. Moby play. Once again, I bring that up. Fatboy Slim, halfway through the gutter and the stars, or halfway to the gutter and the stars. That was a great album. Those were the CDs I bought from Borders, but there was a lot of others. But anyways, Borders was very expensive when it came to CDs, though. But they had a lot of stuff you couldn't find anywhere else, so it was like a give and take kind of thing. But that's where I wound up buying the self-titled first Slipknot album, was at Borders for probably $22, $23. And then I remember going up to the counter and slapping the CD on the counter. And the guy there, I don't know, he probably looked like me, whatever. He was just like, "Oh, yeah, I remember this album." He's like, "Yeah, someone broke into my truck and stole all my CDs, but some were left behind, but this one was definitely gone." I was like, "Well, what do you want me to do about it, dude? I'm not gonna give it to you." That sucks. I'm sorry, but I sit there and wonder too. There would be musical artists in the corner there at Borders, and there'd like singer songwriter types. And it makes me think, at that time, this was like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. I would just wonder now if any of them ever made it big. Probably not, but I don't know. You ever think about that? Like people you just like pass by on the street, if, they're millionaires, or they're going to be the next big, I don't know. I think about a lot. Like whenever you're driving in your own car, like, okay, I'm inside of my own car. This is my own little world. The conversations I'm having are in this car. But then you zoom out and you think about all the other cars you see. There's all these other conversations happening, or stories happening, or people thinking this. Like, it's almost overloads my brain if I think about it too much. But yeah, so Slipknot's a great music band music band to listen to while you're driving. But yeah, by the time I left 8 o'clock p.m., got home finally the next day at 10 o'clock in the morning, I pulled up, got out of my car, and you would think, oh man, I'm just going to go right in, lay in the bed. Nope. You got to grab your stuff out of the car, bring it in, say hi to the dogs because they haven't seen you in forever to them. And then you could finally, after about an hour, you take a shower, lay down, finally get some sleep. And so that was this last weekend. So I've kind of just been recovering since then, and been tired. But then also it's like I have no YouTube videos loaded for this week. So while I'm kind of tired and I'm in a daze, time to record some YouTube videos. Not like I don't enjoy it, but man, it's it's kind of a draining feeling sometimes when it's just like got to get that energy up. When the lights are on and everything's rolling, you got to get it up, get things going. But so if you've seen the review of the Raising Canes, if I look a little tired and a little sleepy, that's the reason why. But anyways, I did have a great time. I love driving on road trips. It's fun to pull into a gas station late at night. Nobody knows your name. I felt like a cowboy, and get my coffee, get some snacks, get some stuff, my diet wouldn't normally say is right, but screw it, you're on a road trip. Anything goes. So I'm sitting there ripping through beef jerky, candy bars, a big bag of Cool Ranch Doritos, a lot of bad stuff. I'm paying for it now. I need it. I'm working out now again. I got to get back into shape. But yeah, so that was my road trip. Little story. There was a few other things, but I will I'll have to save for something another time. But that was the whole synopsis of that. Um, so while I was preparing this show, getting the notes all together for this little live event tonight, I was on Facebook and I randomly saw this thing. It's suggested to you. Like, I don't follow this page. I don't never liked anything on the page, but you get these pages sometimes suggested to you. And it was like some kind of classic car Facebook page where you got a lot of boomers on there talking and like, oh yeah, classic cars and all that. And I've been around these guys forever. My dad, he's a car guy, so we'd go to car shows all the time. I've probably seen a million Corvettes in my lifetime. So Corvettes are cool. I drove my dad's Corvette once, and press on the gas, and it picks up. It's like whoa, it's a cool feeling, but I don't know if I'd ever want one. Just because I'm not a car guy. I don't really care. Like just give me a piece of crap that could take me from A to B. I don't care if I'm getting laughed at because of it, because I feel like I am more than just a car. I am more than just some clothes I wear. You know, I don't know. Maybe some people feel that way, but not me. But anyways, so I saw this post from some classic car Facebook page, and the post is this. All right, so just imagine in your head. I can't really show it on here; it's all blurry, or it would be blurry on here. But there's a top photo, and it says "Men, 1969," and it's two guys riding in the desert highway on motorcycles. And then bottom picture is Men 2019, and it's two guys in khakis with button down shirts on scooters with little hats. And it's just classic boomer humor. It's like am I offended by this? Are they trying to target me because I'm this age range with men in 2019? No, I'm not offended. I That's what they're trying to do. Like, yeah, back then we were real men, and now men now ain't. They're all they ain't like how we were back in the day. Um, which it's just a stupid joke. But the thing that I saw that was pretty interesting is how many people come out of the woodwork. Like a lot of boomers. Uh, this one guy said, the 2016, the 1969 men fought in wars, while the 2019 men fought in their parents' basement on a PlayStation. I guess that's supposed to be a joke. Our good job. That's a good one. Uh, the 1969 men were instructed how to adjust engine valves. Men are now instructed not to drink battery acid. Like it just goes on and on. That's just a few examples. And I'm not offended by this at all or anything like that. It's just weird to see how many people will like older men bashing the younger generation when it's really not that. It's such a general blanket statement. Like I know plenty of dudes my age that are just hardworking, just busting it like all week, and they're getting injured on the job. Like cuts or whatever. So it doesn't make sense to me, and I think more about it. It's like, okay, if you guys are complaining that guys these days are so weak and pathetic, like you say, like, aren't you the older generation? Wasn't it your job to show the younger generation how to be and teach them things? Like, if that's the case, then you failed miserably, you know? So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by saying, "Yeah, yeah, the younger guys, the younger generation don't know." What was that thing? There was some philosopher or some writer that it was the saying something about the younger generation is dumb and we're doomed or whatever. And the person that said this was from the year like 1000 AD or something, you know. So it's always a thing. There's always going to be the old generation's always going to be bashing the younger generation and so on and so forth. That's if you're like just I don't know, just I I'm looking here. That's so sad. What happened? Well, I could tell you what happened. Uh Probably the younger generation saw you with your rebellious attitude from the 1950s and 60s, wearing leather jackets, driving hot rods. You ever think about this? Like before the 1960s, like the generations before that, like say people that grew up in the 1920s, 1930s, there was no rebelliousness at all. Like it was just, the silent generation. They just, were raised by their hardworking, parents to do this. So you got to do that. You wake up in the morning, got to get the water because we have no running water. Um, then come the 1950s, you got all these advancements, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna study. I'm gonna pick up Mary Lou, and we're gonna drive to the malt shop and drive the cars down the road. The younger generation, or the generation after, looks at that and they just want to one up it by rebelling of whatever that's it, because that's so it's always going to be like everyone's going to look at their parents as lame, so they're going to want to do so. It's almost your fault, guys. you know I don't know. You should have but there's a few older guys on here that are like saying this is such a big bait post, like you're just trying to bait people into saying this. uh yeah, I don't know. So I just saw that while I was doing some research here, and I thought that was just a little bit of a interesting idea. I was sitting there thinking, it's like, yeah, it's kind of your fault, guys. Move on. Yeah, so we're moving on. So, yeah, Skybar. I want to just talk about Skybar. One more thing. I think I'm gonna eat one right now. I did a review on this, so it's like it's not gonna be like, oh, it's my first time or anything, but just to show you guys in deeper detail what a Skybar looks like. So there you go, the 4 segments. Do it. Yes, I am. Gertrude. I call you Double G. How about that? So, I don't know if it's coming in, but you could read on there Skybar. I don't know which side is which. This could either be fudge or it's caramel. So let's break it off. All right. Well, I'm glad you like it, Double G. All right. The chocolate is so fresh. Louise, like when she took me through the factory, she opened up this big cooler where she had all these Sky Bars, like in the little mold still upside down. And just like the smell of that chocolate coming through is just like, oh my God, it is so good. But here's the Sky Bar. That this is caramel, I think it is. So here we go. Oh yeah, that's caramel, baby. Yeah, the chocolate is like it's firm, but it's not like a Hershey's bar where it's so hard you have to kind of it just you bite down. It's easy to bite into, but it has a bit of a I don't know. Let me see here. A firmness to it. That's what I'm trying to think of. All right, next one up. I believe this is vanilla. hmm So there's vanilla. Looks rather brown. It's supposed to look very white, but yeah, it's the same as I tried it the last time. It has a kind of grainy kind of taste to it or texture to it. but it's good. That's what I come to expect from the Sky Bar at this point. It's not a smooth kind of vanilla cream. It's got some like grain to it, as if they actually, yes, did mix sugar on site and inject it in the same room. It's just that fresh. Here is the, let's call this one the peanut. So peanut butter, peanut cream. It looks very smooth, just like a caramel, but it's peanut flavored. Mm. Definitely can taste peanuts in there. And she mentioned that like how they get the flavor, they're actually crushed peanuts. It's not like peanut substitute or anything like that. It's literal crushed peanuts that they put into it, and yeah, you definitely tell. All right, this one is the fudge. It's got a little bit of the peanut segment still in there, but here we go. Get a look at that fudge. Now the fudge isn't as creamy as you can kind of tell. It's almost got like a nougat type texture to it. It looks but it's like a smooth cream almost. Yeah. So there you go, Sky Bar. Um, it was originally made by Necco, the same people that made Necco wafers and all that. And then when Necco went out of business in 2018, the Sky Bar property went up for sale. And Louise, how industrious she was like, had no like ideas of how to make a candy bar at all. She just bought the property and started from scratch on learning how to make the Sky Bars. So, I mean, she's kind of like you someone you should admire, really. I admire her. It's like she took on that, kind of behemoth of a thing to start from scratch, learn how to make candy bars on her own, and it's cool. But yeah, let's shift gears now after I get a swig of coffee. We're going to get into music. Probably need some more coffee, actually. There we go. This coffee is looking rather creamy. Ugh. It's like I need to put in a lot of cream to make this taste good, and so it looks like a cream soup almost. Like but man, talking about bands, my experience in bands. Do you got like 24 hours? Oh, well, I guess I could say let's start at the very beginning of my recording career. When I had a boombox, whenever you'd press record and play, you could talk into the speaker. Like there was a microphone built into the speaker. That's when I first realized you could record yourself on tape. And since then, it's been a crazy ride, that's for sure. But that's when I started it all. And I started just wanting to make dumb radio shows, believe it or not, about as dumb as this one. And I'd have my friends over, we'd record some skits or whatever. Like this was before I even thought about making music. So it was almost like this came first before the music. And at the time I was writing stories, short stories. Like I wanted to be an author and write books. And I still will at some point, but writing a book is it's going to take a lot of time to do that. And I'm making documentaries right now. I don't want to take any time away from that and putting out this music. So I was writing short stories, was recording these dumb radio shows on tape. This was like circa 1999, 2000. And I remember I always kept these short stories that I've been writing like really close, to my chest. Like I wouldn't let anybody read them or anything like that. But one time I felt like I was good enough and I gave, a few chapters of this book I was writing to some friends I thought were friends in my gym class. And the next day I was asking I was asking for the chapters back and they're like, "Oh, yeah, here." And I was like, "Oh, what'd you guys think?" And they're like, "Well, it was kind of stupid." And they started like imitating in a teasing kind of way things I wrote in the stories, and I was just like, okay, all right, I'm never gonna talk to you guys again. You guys suck. But that was always the kind of recognition I got, even at an early age, about anything creative I ever did. So you get to this point where you got people commenting on, whatever video. Usually it's the McDonald's documentary. You always got somebody. The guy's voice sucks. He's all this stuff that he's saying. You could already just look up yourself. This is bad. This is really, So I that's nothing new to me. I got a thick skin starting since junior high. People bashing whatever I did creatively. But then I'm just glad that I never gave up because, like most people, they'll just get so easily discouraged right off, and I feel bad for those people. It's like some bands they'll put out an album and nothing happens. Like that's the most case for most bands is, you get all excited. You're this unit of guys, and you're just sitting there working, and oh, this is the greatest thing ever. We're gonna take the world by storm. Then you put out the album, nothing, crickets. Like your mom may like it, your girlfriend may like it, but besides that, like anybody outside, they're not gonna care, and that is heartbreaking. It's discouraging, but you just got to find the drive to want to keep going. And I think the drive for me is always knowing and realizing the reason I'm doing it. Like if you're going to start out doing anything creative, you always got to have in your head the reason you started in the first place, and don't get swayed into like, "Oh, I'm making money now," or "Oh, I got a girlfriend because of this. Now I could quit because I have a girlfriend." Or whatever. I mean, that is the case for a few people in bands. It's like they start out with no chicks, then they're playing somewhere and they got a guitar in their hand, and the chicks like them now. Well, I got a girlfriend now. I can't record, guys. I gotta go. Uh, that's how it goes. But you got to realize, whatever drives you. If that's what drives you, you get into a band because you want to get a chick. Then all right, mission accomplished. But for me, it was always because it was a good escape from the normal thing, normal life, I guess. Like always keeping the brain working, thinking of the next thing that you got to do. Like regardless if it's a song or a story or a painting for some people. I know I don't paint, but for anything creative, if it brings you joy, it doesn't matter if you get money from it or anything else. Like if it makes your life more robust, it gives your life some kind of purpose and passion. You should always stick with it, regardless if no one cares or people bash you. Whatever, you got to keep in your mind why you do it, and it's like, do I do it for you know these people that are giving me crap? Like, am I trying to please them and prove to them that I'm good? No. So you'll see it. And most of the time, people that leave like bad comments or whatever, they're usually fighting within themselves. And it's nothing personal to you. It's always just them trying to blow off steam because they probably have something going on where they have, they're mad at somebody close to them but they don't want to confront them. So what they'll do, they'll have this pent up anger, and they'll just randomly go on YouTube and find something that will just get them a little bit annoyed and then just blast it at you. And that's the thing. So it's I kind of understand that, and it's like okay, I- I'm just I'll either say thank you or heart them just to be a smartass, or just ignore them. And it's like I won't delete the comment or anything. It's like that's on them. Has nothing to do with you at all. So, um, but yeah. Anyways, I kind of gave up writing stories. I didn't give up writing, but I kind of shift gears after that incident in junior high, and I was just like, well, maybe I need to shift gears. Maybe I could get into a different medium, a different creative avenue. It's like, do I know how to make music? No, I've never touched a musical instrument in my entire life. Do I enjoy music? Yes, I do. Would I want to make the coolest music ever? Yeah, I would. I'd want to make funny songs. I'd want to make skits. I'd want to make heavy, emotional acoustic songs because I liked Stained at the time. Like I wanted to do it all, but I didn't know where to start. And so that same year in eighth grade, I started rapping, because I liked rapping. I liked rap. So that's how I kind of started. I would just, write funny raps. And I'd be in gym class and I'd be rapping. And that was like the first time there was like some positive recognition, like something that I felt like, oh, maybe I'm actually good at something. So they would call me over, hey, say your raps, do the one about this or whatever. So I would do that. I had like three songs or three raps, no beat to it or anything like that. But that was the thing that kind of got me thinking, well, maybe I'm actually good at something. I don't know. And then in gym class, I don't know, eighth grade gym class was a very pivotal moment in my life for some reason. So in gym class, I was good at these raps, and I'm sitting right next to this dude named Jesse. And it's just because our like last names lined up alphabetically. And he was kind of shy, quiet, and he just kept to himself, but he wasn't like a wimp or anything like that. He was just quiet. He just didn't talk that much. But him and I started bonding by like just talking about fart jokes, and he used to do this thing with his hands. He can make his hands fart like that. It's male bonding. That's how we get along here. but so I started talking to him, and he mentioned that like what he likes to do is just stay at home and play guitar. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, maybe we should hang out sometime." I would always be the guy initiating hanging out with him because I think he was just an introvert. I feel like he just didn't want to be around a lot of people. He was cool with just being by himself, which I get that. I understand that. I used to think I was an introvert for a very long time, but I know I'm not. I think I'm an extrovert, but a lot of people make me want to be an introvert. That's the thing with me. But so we wind up bonding, becoming friends. We had the same English class together, and he would go up there one time, and he had to do this speech about something, and he was just like, well, yeah, so and so this, and I just don't want to do it because I don't like people. And I, I just laughed my ass off. I was like, that guy's cool. Like Beavis and Butthead or something. But we started hanging out. He played guitar, and I'd be like, man, I want to learn how to play guitar too. And he'd be like, break out his acoustic guitar, playing all these like blues things. He was more of a blues, Eric Clapton. Like he loved all that kind of stuff, which I was familiar with all that stuff, but I was just kind of, I was a metalhead. I loved, rap and funny music, Bloodhound Gang, like all that stuff. And he was more into the serious, you got to be perfect on all your guitar. You got to study. You got to really know. Like this dude was like straight book smart, and I was kind of just a jackass in school. So I don't know, opposites kind of mesh well. Um, but yeah, he would be playing in front of me. I wound up getting an acoustic guitar for Christmas that year, and I would just diddle a little bit, learned a few things. Dun, 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 that kind of classic, easy blues riffs anybody could learn how to play within a day. And I just was never as focused as he was with guitar and learning an instrument to its fullest potential. I was more of learning enough to be able to make a song. That's all I cared about. And so I started writing solo stuff, and I would have Jesse be on it a few times, like help me record, have a guitar part or whatever. And we made like our first song. It was called Demons in My Head. I know, very, very deep. But and I had other funnier songs, but if Jesse was gonna be in it, I had to, get a little bit more formal, so he'd be along with it. And so that was the best I could do with a serious song. And so we recorded that freshman year on tape, and the art club in high school was putting together a music compilation of all the local bands in high school, and they were going to sell it to support funds for the art club. And we recorded it on tape. Everybody else had the abilities to record things on CD or on computer, and it's like, I can't do that. I don't have a computer. Like, we had a family computer, we had a home computer, but I couldn't touch that, or like even try to. And if I had installed any kind of music or beat making software in the family computer, oh, it'd be a no go. So it was just like, well, we got this on tape. Can you convert this and put it on the CD? And nothing happened. We didn't get our song on there, and that's how it kind of started recording with Jesse. And me on my own, I started recording rap beats with two boom boxes, two cassette players. I would hit record on this cassette player, had this keyboard, and then I would just, boom, boom, tap, boom, tap, boom, tap for what, 2, 3 minutes, however long the song I'd want to do, and try to keep time with it. I was just starting out. I had no idea. The metronome, the timing, 1/8, whatever. What is a bar? What is a measure? Anything like that. It's just being a fan of music and just going full throttle into it with no background, no like family members that know how to do any music stuff. It's just starting out from scratch, like base level. And so boom tap, boom tap, boom tap, boom tap. 3 minutes, like a crazy person recording that on tape. So stop the tape, rewind that, put the tape player right there. I'd have the other cassette recorder there. And so hit record on the fresh tape, and then hit play on the drums I just recorded. And then while the drums are recording and our drums are playing into the cassette player that's recording, I'd, add a little keyboard. Something like that. And I do that for another 3 minutes. And then just keep recycling that. And then yeah, stop the tape. Then I just record my vocals. Dr. Dre, don't just stand there, operate. Classic album. I love the Slim Shady LP. And then so, I would just record. So that was the start of me just recording on my own as a solo artist. But then I had all the stuff I would be doing with Jesse. And so I always felt like I was in two bands at the same time. So I have my weird, funny stuff that I just do by myself, and then I have the more serious stuff that could actually potentially be something. It's kind of like Mike Patton with Mr. Bungle, and then he had Faith No More. He was a singer in both groups. But, anyways, my solo stuff, I wouldn't consider that a band. It was just my project or whatever. But the band with Jesse didn't really start until his younger brother Jake started learning to play guitar too. And Jake, I've always said this to anybody I've ever talked to. Jake is the greatest guitar player I've ever seen, on or off screen, whatever. Like he just picked it like he was just a natural born guitar player. Like within a month he was just like skyrocketing past anything I was doing, and he surpassed what Jesse was doing. Jesse had more time in than Jake, but Jake was just like and that was it. It was the three of us. And, Jesse kind of moved into playing bass and doing vocals. He had a great voice. And Jake would be doing, the guitar parts, lead, and all that. And I wound up by default becoming the drummer. Which is funny because I had no sense of time. And but I didn't have a drum set. I had a guitar, I had an electric guitar, I had a keyboard. And the keyboard Jesse and Jake had this, you could put the percussion settings on. You could play keyboard drums on it, the bass, the snare, and all that. And so I started learning how to play drums on that. And we started practicing that way with the keyboard. We had the keyboard, me behind it, Jesse playing bass, Jake playing guitar, and that was us. That was my first real band. Me and Jake, we bonded so quick. Even though Jesse was the first, he was my friend first. Me and Jake got along super well. Maybe I don't know. I get along with younger people more than people my own age. I don't think I even like anybody I graduated with that's my age from my graduating class. I'm not really that close to. I'm always close to people 3 or 4 years younger than me. But I don't know. That's just how it works out. So we start practicing, and kind of become more of the recording guy. I bought the recording equipment. Jesse had all the live stuff at his house, and we would just start practicing in the room, his bedroom. And it's like every time I would come over to visit, that's what we did as friends. Like we didn't go to the bar, we didn't go, I mean, sometimes we would drive and go to Best Buy or get Taco Bell or whatever. We always had that, went to see movies or whatever as a group. But for like our free time, we would go and play music all day just in his room. And God bless his parents for just dealing with the noise we were making, because I'm sure they heard just an atrocious amount of music. An atrocious amount of atrocious music. That's the best and most polite way to say it. And I don't know how many years we just would play in his room and just play all the way through a full set. Like we learned a full set of songs. It's just all the classics. We were doing cover songs. We started writing some original songs because I was wanting to push that way. Like I didn't want to just record and do cover songs. I wanted to do like make us a legit thing with our own original songs, which Jesse had some. He had a song that was very, it sounded like Jimmy Buffett, but it was good. I mean, you listen to that, like how the guitar was played, it was really good. But it just didn't fit with the band thing. So Jesse kind of had his own little solo thing as well. So but yeah, so we were probably 19, 20, me and Jesse, and Jake was a little younger. He was just like 16. And I kept pushing. Like I wanted to get us into playing live somewhere. It's like, dude, we've been playing in this room forever. Like, can we just, And I was always the weakest link. I'll admit that. Like, I didn't have a drum set. If I did have a drum set, I was living with my parents and they would have said, no, cut it out. Like, I can't sit there and learn drums making all this noise. And, that wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been feasible. Um, so I was kind of stuck, like, oh man, I I want to learn. But then at the same time, I had just moved back from a failed uh, radio DJ career, uh, and I was just kind of starting again. So, I was dealing with all that as well, trying to get back on my feet, learning what am I going to do now? Like, I went to school for this, tried it out for a year and a half, and it's god awful. Went to school for something that I realized wasn't for me, and I moved back. Now what do I do? I'm still young, and I'm doing this band thing as a hobby, but I need to get things in line to better my future. So there was a lot on my plate, and I think trying to learn drums and really focus on that to get to the point to be like an aficionado like they were with the guitar and bass, I don't think it wouldn't have worked out. And plus, also me, I just wanted to just play, didn't care like how great I was, just go out and play. That's it. So I wound up booking a place for us in St. Louis, and it was like a pub or something. I remember calling up Jesse and I said, "Hey Jesse," and I found them on Craigslist. They were looking for bands, and they weren't gonna pay us anything, but we get free food. I think we get free nachos or something. And I called Jesse. I said, "Hey Jesse, we got a gig in a month. Let's figure out a set list and get going." And I don't think he was happy about that. He wasn't happy about that. And the option was always there to back out of it. But I was like, dude, this is going to be the first step to get us out of there and get in the motion of things. Yeah, it's probably going to be god awful, but let's get into it and just see how it goes. And Jake was all about it. He was like, yeah, why not? Whatever. But I could see from Jesse's point of view, like, oh, no, I think in his head he imagined the band he would be in would be different than what we had. I think that was the whole thing. Uh, so we play this gig, and it was what it was. It was fun playing the gig, but nothing happened besides that. There wasn't some A&R guy in the audience watching for new bands and, oh, you were great, guys. Here's a record contract. It wasn't anything like that. We just finished, put our stuff back in, drove back home, and that was it. The next gig that I found for us, Best Buy at the time, I don't know if you guys remember this, Best Buy was trying to sell music equipment and all that kind of stuff, and they had a whole music section. And so they were doing the grand opening for it. So they're going to have bands play for the grand opening of their music section. And the music section was open before this grand opening. And how we even found out it was happening was me and Jake went in there and I started playing on the electronic drums. And it was fun. We were just jamming. Jake was playing guitar, and we were just like, "Yeah, right on." And then the manager comes by, and they're like, "You guys are pretty good. We got a thing happening soon. We're looking for bands. Do you guys have a band or anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's sign me up. Let's sign us up." And I don't know if Jake said it or what, but I maybe I was just thinking it. It's like, "Oh, Jesse ain't gonna like this, but let's do it." And so we get booked to play the grand opening, and it's on this flatbed truck in front of Best Buy early in the morning on a Sunday, I think. It was just the worst time slot ever. So we get up there and we start playing, and there was a music tech guy there that was like really into us. He was like, "Oh, these guys are really good. Oh," just really watching us go hard. and we were playing like covers of Led Zeppelin and all the classic rock kind of stuff and blues stuff and Little Wing by Jimi Hendrix. Um, God, that's so fun to play just on drums. Even if I'm not that good on drums, it's just so fun to just zone out and play that. But um, we get done with the set playing there on the flatbed, and that one guy that was really digging us comes up to us and he says something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, you guys are good, blah blah blah. I know this good, blah blah blah." And got us. He started becoming our friends, and um, we were talking about. Mentioned he played bass, and so we're like, "Okay, well, come on by. We'll do a tryout. Maybe we could have 4 people in the band." So he starts playing bass, and we do a few practices with him, and he's just really cool, at the time. And we decide, yeah, cool, welcome to the band. And then right after that, we practiced again, and we played a show. And then after that, I keep saying after that, it's kind of jumbled. I'm trying to remember the order of things. But we played a show that he booked us, and we actually got paid for that one. That was cool. We actually got money. It was like $300 or $350, which was badass. Uh, think about it now, the hours we put in, the traveling and all that, it wasn't worth it. But actually getting paid to play music, oh man. It was right after that he mentioned he had a friend that played drums, and that made me think, okay, I'm the drummer. What's going on here, And at this time, I got out of a bad thing. Let's just say that with somebody, and I was wanting to blow off some steam, and I knew this one other guy that played guitar, and so we formed this other side project where we just did heavy metal and just rap and stuff. It was just crazy. You're 22, you're kind of just off, flying at the seat of your pants, just kind of, love, heartbreak. When you're 22, you're kind of just really just going crazy. And so we're just making this crazy music off to the side. But, I also had the traditional band with Jake and Jesse. And I think Jesse's reasoning was, well, you guys, you got that other band. I think you got time, you probably wouldn't have time for us or whatever anymore. I was like, no, in my head, I always thought, you guys are my brothers, you're my, we're the team, we're going to go on forever. But I called one time asking when the next band practice was. And he's like, oh, I actually called when he had the new drummer in from the guy that from Best Buy that recommended, and they were practicing. He's like, "Oh well," Jesse was just like, "Oh well, I mean, kind of have somebody here. We're playing right now, but he started to mention about how there was going to be 2 versions of the band. The traditional band with me as the drummer, and then this other one that would obviously probably play more gigs because more connections with those other guys. And I think I was just a mess at the time, so I didn't take that very well, and so I kind of went off more than I should have. But you're young, you're stupid, you don't you. It is what it is. But after that, we didn't talk for years. So that's how basically I broke up with my first band. We kind of just went our separate ways. I went with the band I just started with this other guy. That lasted for a couple years. That was fun. It served its purpose for what it was worth and what it was. And then after that, I reconnected with Jake, and we started talking again about like trying to bring back the old band with Jesse. And we got together, we played some songs, we recorded some stuff, but it didn't really go anywhere. And the band with Jake and Jesse, it kind of morphed into a few different things over the past couple years, and I think they still play. I don't. They haven't played in a while, but they play now with a whole different like you know they got vocalists, female vocalists, and all that. But so that was my first band. That's the story of my first band and how that all fell out and fell in and this, that, and the other. All I gotta say though is looking back on it, it was a great learning experience. But would I ever want to take on being that close to people in a band music kind of setting? No, probably never again because I kind of feel like being in a band is you're even more closer than someone that you're in a relationship with because it's productive. Every time you get together, you're either writing songs, you're recording songs, you're doing something that is going to really I don't know. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you're obviously doing things too, but I don't know, it's if you've ever been in a band, you could relate or been in any kind of creative joint venture with somebody, you'd be able to relate to what I'm saying. Uh, but yeah, I think everybody in the band had a different idea of what they wanted. So, of course, things clashed, and that was that. Now, I mean, you could always do it yourself. Yeah, well, that's what happened basically. By 2012, 2013, no, it was 2011. I started recording the first Glowing Ice album. That's where DJ Glowing Ice comes from. Is the music project I started as a solo guy, and I started that first album just wanting to play with synthesizers because I love electronic music and all that, and I wanted to make something that was totally different than anything else. Not the heavy metal, not the rap, not the blues, not the anything like that. I wanted to make something that was not so like I'm staining it with my emotions. Like it could be open to a bunch of people that uh, you know, it was an instrumental album more than anything, but there was a few songs on there that I actually did vocals on, and then I put that out in 2013. And since then, it's just kind of been me being solo. And there's been people that have come and passed. Like I work with Kinda Yellow. His name's Brandon. You know, I think that's probably the closest to actually side by side recording an album that I've done with anybody in the past decade. Or yeah, pretty much the past decade. I think about it now. But yeah, most of the stuff I've recorded so much music by myself. That's why it's like I need to take some time off from YouTube to shoot out some of this music that I've been recording and working on for ages. Like I got 5 albums worth of stuff that I need to finish, but uh yeah, so I think eventually I may do a live stream of me recording a song from scratch. I think that'd be kind of fun. Try to do that. Yeah. Let's see. So that was my first band. Long story short, that was my first band. Uh, Started recording stuff in 2020 or 2000 Y2K. Started recording then. Now it's 2020. God, 22 years. Dear God. Let's see. And now let's get into the news. After all the meat and potatoes are done, we're getting into the news. And first thing we are going to do is food news. So these are going to be the upcoming new food items that are coming out in November. And at Taco Bell, we've got the Enchilito, which is going to be available from November 17th through the 30th. So keep an eye out for that. Excuse me. They got the Arby's smoked bourbon. That's been on sale already. Let's see, what else do we got here? We've got the new caramel mocha chip shake and Heath caramel brownie confection at Dairy Queen this fall coming out. Um, we got the Pizza Hut melts. They kind of look like paninis. So Pizza Hut is making paninis now. They look actually pretty good. I don't really eat at Pizza Hut too much. I'm not a big fan, but yeah, I may have to swing on by for that. Checkers and Rallies to serve up new Texas barbecue chicken pile up. God, that looks it looks disgusting, but I would eat that. Oh, there's a Papa John's new pepperoni crusted papadilla. So it's a papadilla. Get this, like it's a quesadilla in Papa John's form. It's a whatever, but it's got pepperonis on the outside. It looks kind of crazy good. Little Debbie has pumpkin delights snack cakes in the form of ice cream that's coming into Walmart. And they got the loaded truff nacho fries, which is now available at Taco Bell, which I have tried. And I don't know if they're being stingy with the truff sauce or what, but there wasn't much to it. I gotta say, I was very, very disappointed, and I want to speak to their manager. Um, let's see here. That's about it for that. Very eventful. Doesn't seem like there's too much for new food items for November. But now we're going to get into, speaking of music, let's get right back into it for a second. And we're going to take a look at the upcoming albums in November, for November 2022. So let's take a look here. Anything good? On November 4th, we're going to have Smithereens by Joji coming out. And that's the one album I'm actually very excited about is Joji. If you don't know who Joji is, he's Filthy Frank, a YouTuber back in the day. He quit being Filthy Frank, and now he's like a serious music artist, which I dig both things. Like, I was always a fan of Filthy Frank, and I like Joji too. It's a dual thing. You could like the funny stuff and the serious stuff. You don't have to be so single-minded. Let's see. Anything else good coming out? Bruce Springsteen, November 11th, the new Bruce Springsteen album. I have a lot of people that comment mean things on my videos, and I'll look at their profile just to see what they're all about. Like, oh, okay, if you think my video sucks, I'll check out how great your videos are, because if you think mine sucks, you must have great videos that are way better than mine. And I'll go and look, and they don't have anything. They may have a playlist, and 3 people that have left bad comments, and I look at their YouTube channel, they have Bruce Springsteen playlists. So get excited for that, guys. Only the Strong Survive, November 11th, that comes out. The Smashing Pumpkins is coming out with an album, Atom Act 1 on November 15th. Oh, I got excited for a second. Candlemass. I was hoping Candlebox. The Jimi Hendrix Experience on November 18th is the Los Angeles Forum, April 26th, 1969. That's coming out. A new Nickelback album's coming out. Get Rollin'. I'm excited for that. That's also November 18th. And not much else that I see here for that date. The Doors is coming out with an album, Paris Blues, on November 25th. And that is that for new albums for November 2022. I was trying to be good with that. All right. Get a sip of coffee here. And we're getting into video game time. Okay, so upcoming video games for November 2022. We have How to Say Goodbye on the Switch and PC. The Chant on PlayStation 5. The list is something you could look up. Upcoming music. just that's off of Wikipedia. So just search um, upcoming albums 2022, and you'll just go to the Wikipedia page. So you don't have to go through all the fluff, and it'll have a list of everything. So you won't have to watch this anymore. You just look on there. Let's see. Anything else that I'm excited about? There's a lot of games on here I see that I just don't, I'm not aware of. It Takes Two, that's coming on the Switch November 4th. Sonic Frontiers, PlayStation 5, Xbox, Xbox One, Switch, that's going everywhere. Resident Evil 2 is coming to the Switch November 11th. We've got, is there a God of War? I think there's a God of War coming out at some point. Yeah, there it is. God of War Ragnarok, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, November 9th. Resident Evil 2 on the Switch, November 11th. Smurfs Kart, that's coming out November 15th on the Switch. So mark your calendars for that, boys and girls. Call of Duty Warzone 2.0, that's coming out. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, all that. So be ready for that kind of yellow. Goat Simulator 3, I didn't even know they had a second one out, but that's coming out PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. Then there's Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is an older game, but it's now coming out on the PC November 18th. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet coming to the Switch November 18th, and also Resident Evil 3 coming to the Switch November 18th. Just Dance 2023 is coming out on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. And that is about it for that. There's a Gundam game and a Warhammer game. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So, all right. For the final little segment here, we're going to be looking at upcoming movies. So for November, on November 10th, we are going to have Falling for Christmas, a Netflix release, starring Lindsay Lohan. So that should be a very nice time. Friday, November 11th, Armageddon Time with Anne Hathaway. That's coming out. And Black Panther Wakanda Forever is coming out on the same day, November 11th. November 18th, we've got The Menu, the movie She Said, and Slumberland, which is a Netflix release starring Jason Momoa. November 23rd, we have Bones and All, Devotion, The Fablemans, and Strange World, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. November 24th, we have Disenchanted. That's a Disney Plus release. I don't have Disney Plus. But yeah, if you do, I guess look out for that, I guess. And that's about it. So, I guess that's all I got for you guys tonight. I think this is the longest I've gone on a Friday Night Live, and I've been having two people for the most part in this little thing. It's gone up, it's gone down, but steady at two. I thank you guys for hanging out with me on this Friday night. I appreciate it. I hope you guys had a good time for what it was. It's just me talking here. Uh, I'd like to do something more interactive. Maybe I could do like a game show between you guys or something. I have to design something or write something. I don't know. Something to look forward to tomorrow. Like I said, there's going to be a documentary about a very famous meme that's going to be dropping 9 o'clock Central Time. Yeah, that'd be cool. I have this game show that I did on the podcast that was called Fun Fact Check. So I think I may do a fun fact check with you guys. I need to get a decent amount of people, but choose one person to play with me, and they could do like a lifeline or something. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Like I said, allergies, sinuses getting at me. I feel hot. Maybe it's just because I have some lights going on in the background. But yeah, keep an eye out for the documentary. I'm working on the Skybar documentary right now. That's going to take some time, but that'll be the next thing. And then I got plenty of an ungodly amount of McDonald's material I need to finish and do. I've kind of become the McDonald's channel, which I didn't. That wasn't my intentions, but it kind of turned out that way. But I don't know. It's just an interesting company to talk about and look into. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I am DJ Glowing Ice. Have a great rest of your Friday night. And I will see you soon enough in the comment section or on the next video or whatever blog post, whatever. Soon enough. Till then, be safe, stay healthy, and have a good night. Bye.